What's up everyone, welcome to Sir Hunt's Reviews. This is normally not the type of format that I do on this channel. Usually I like to put up visual aids with my videos, but I've been having a little bit of issues with my CPU, and whenever I try to render these heavy graphics with the type of video transitions that I do, it always ends up slowing down my computer something insane. But not to worry, I just got paid yesterday and I have a new CPU on the way. Once that gets here, these regular videos are going to be back and in action. In this video, or this podcast rather, I'm just going to talk about some in-game theories for the Lannisters. Shall we begin? The Lannisters are lions, and lions are not one to concern themselves with the opinions of sheep. At least the only Lannister that still thinks this way is Cersei. Jaime Lannister arguably stopped looking at life this way back in Season 5. Really, in Season 4. He's had an insane amount of character arcs and just, returning into just someone, starting off as someone we hate and turning into someone we all love. A lot of people have liked Jaime since the get-go, but honestly, when I saw him push Bran out the window, I was like, okay, this dude is bad. But he does have some redeeming qualities, and those are quickly shown when we see how affectionate he is towards Cersei, and then later on, once he full-on has his hand chopped off, he does a complete 180 and just goes in the opposite direction and becomes the 100% hero archetype he now is going into Season 8. A lot of people like to predict on his endgame, I'm being one of those. One of the things, or one of the issues that Jaime may have before, because obviously he pushed Bran out the window. He's done a lot against House Stark. He arguably had a hand in the Red Wedding, which, honestly, that's like death. We do know that Arya slaughtered every single Frey, and honestly, if it wasn't for the Lannisters, the Freys wouldn't have done what they did. So I honestly think that Jaime, not only with Bran for pushing him out of the window, but I think Jaime has the most to worry about with Arya. A lot of people like to think that the conversation that Jaime and Jon Snow had way early on in Game of Thrones Season 1 is like a little bit of foreshadowing to how Jaime's fate may end up. Jon is talking with Jaime and he tells him how he's going to the Wall and how we've stood proud for, thousands of years. It's honorable. And Jaime actually responds with, oh, we? You're not even a member of the Night's Watch yet, but you're already talking in we. And then he ends up, kind of correcting Jon in the sense that the Night's Watch is not really what it used to be. It had all of this former glory and stuff that went along with it, but not so much anymore. Now it's just robbers, rapists, and thieves. So Jaime tells Jon that not to worry, it's only for life. A lot of people think that that line is foreshadowing to the fact that Jaime may eventually become a member of the Night's Watch. Now, this theory was actually proposed way back in 2013 on Reddit / A Song of Ice and Fire. There have been many posts since then, but the main gist of it all is that Jaime will eventually join the Night's Watch and then maybe even potentially become the 1000th Lord Commander. We do know that as of right now, Dolorous Ed is playing that role of the 999th Lord Commander because Jon Snow was the 998th. So it only makes sense that with this big insane number coming up with the 1000th Lord Commander, that someone like Jaime take the place. We do know that Jaime has battle experience. His credentials kind of should automatically shoot him to the top of that, but we all know that's not how the Night's Watch works. Honestly, the Night's Watch, how it is now, right now, like ending Season 7 going into Season 8, they're likely all going to die. We do know that the Night King is headed there first off. So honestly, with Tormund joking around saying that he's the Night's Watch now, I think there's a good chance that Jon will promote him as the leader. It would be all the more, cyclical in nature because we do know that the Night's Watch has fended off the free folk for the longest time. They've slaughtered them and they've killed them, and now free folk will become to lead them. But I honestly think that Jaime is a little bit more fitting for that, just for the simple fact that, like, one of the examples that I can give you right now is that in the novels, when Barristan Selmy is talking about how Jaime is now, part of the Kingsguard, he's the White Cloak, he honestly thinks that he doesn't deserve it because he did kill the Mad King. He's the Kingslayer, and honestly, he thinks that Jaime should trade in his White Cloak for a black one. So that, along with many other reasons, tends to lead people down the path for Jaime Lannister in-game to become the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. It is a suiting, punishment for him because honestly, the amount of atrocities he's committed, not only against House Stark, but against the nation and against, all of the Seven Kingdoms, he has to pay for that somehow. He can't just, like, redeem himself through battle and then just get to live off, in Castle Rock somewhere. He has to ultimately be punished for the path that he took. And we all know that the Night's Watch members can still get some ass. So Jaime becoming the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, or just at least a member of the Night's Watch, is 100% suitable for his endgame, in my opinion. Other than that, there's death. But also you have the fact that if he does survive everything and he's this great battle commander and all that, Jon is going to show mercy. Jon is not like a hardcore cut your throat type of dude. He is if you specifically wronged him, but I feel like the amount of good deeds that Jaime's doing and will continue to do in season 8 will redeem him in the eyes of Jon Snow, and Jon Snow will offer him a fate a little bit better than death, and that is serving at the wall. Remember, that conversation is kind of the major foreshadowing of this event happening later on in our story. Next up is Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion Lannister falls under that whole cripples, crap, bastards, and broken things type of like storyline, whereas these are the types of people that are going to inherit the world after everyone else dies. Like after all the wars are said and done, the only people that will be remain to rule and sort of decide the direction of the kingdom are the cripples, bastards, and broken things. And Tyrion honestly fits every single one of those. It's arguable about the whole bastard thing because he was not conceived out of wedlock. He had both of his parents were married before he was born, but also if you look at it from a literal standpoint, Tywin hated Tyrion. He hates him with a passion. Tyrion was known as Tywin's bane. Tyrion may be the only one of Tywin's children that are actually his. A lot of people think that Jaime and Cersei could be, you know, children of the Mad King. I think that more so applies in the novels. But in the TV show, honestly, Tyrion is hated by his father so much to the same extent that you can say with Sam. He's a bastard in his father's eyes. Like, honestly, if he had the choice, Tywin said that he would have carried him out to the sea and drowned him right after he killed his mother during childbirth. Now, obviously, Tyrion didn't have nothing to do with that. But as far as in-game, the cripples, bastards, and broken things have had it the worst throughout the entirety of our story. But honestly, they have, like, sort of the safest go-to, like, because we're not hands-on in these battles, because we're broken things, we have the highest chance of surviving. Now, Tyrion has, you know, played a part in a few battles before, but he's just because of his size and his stature, it's not really his thing. He does his best work behind the scenes, behind closed doors, sort of like ruling the nation, deciding what's best for the people. He is arguably a man of the people. He's traveled around. In the novels, he has 36 POV chapters, so he has literally the most connections. I would love to see Tyrion for in-game, for the TV show at least. I would love to see him become Warden of the South. Now, the reason why I say of the South is because I honestly think that the importance and the significance of fighting off the dead, even if they're successful in defeating them all, they know that there's a chance for them to come back because they came back from the last time. I honestly don't know if they'll be able to kill all the dead. I think they'll drastically be able to wound the army and maybe force them to flee back north. But either way, I honestly see the capital being relocated from King's Landing to Winterfell. And if this is the case, then you have the new capital city being somewhere in the north, ideally Winterfell, and then you have the south becoming sort of like, you know, that same similar situation. It's not necessarily the capital city of the kingdom, but it becomes more like how the north was, where it's just a giant area. I would love to see Tyrion either become the Warden of the South, remain hand of the queen to Daenerys, and sort of like just, you know, do what's best for the kingdom in that sense. Honestly, if he's her hand of the queen and Jon and Daenerys die, there's a good chance of Tyrion ruling and sitting the Iron Throne in the end. He is definitely one of my top 3 favorite characters, and I would not mind to see him sit in the Iron Throne in the end. Remember, the whole cripples, bastards, and broken things inherit the earth. Tyrion is, you know, fits every single one of those roles, and because he's kind of had it, not necessarily the worst, but because he's had the life that he has, it would make sense for him to become the ruler that Westeros needs. Then last but not least, we have Cersei Lannister. Cersei is not one of my favorite characters, but Lena Headey is definitely one of my favorite actresses. It's insane, in my opinion, that she is so good, she can literally make us hate her character. That is all, you know, you got to give all of that credit to the actor. If it wasn't for the actor portraying the role as well as she does, then we wouldn't hate Cersei as much as we do. And honestly, yes, I hate Cersei with a passion, but she's like a guilty pleasure of mine to watch her on screen. Every single scene that she's in, she just takes it and makes it her own. Even if she's in a scene with 1,000 nude women and Cersei's the only one clothed, we're all going to focus on Cersei because that's how good her talent is. We're all going to just be, in my opinion, enthralled and just, I don't know, it's just hard to take my eyes off of her when she's on screen. So as far as in-game for her, the easiest choice is just dying. She's done so many terrible deeds to everyone else. death would be the best punishment for her. But that's not how this story works. And a lot of the times, the people who you think should die the most, those are the last ones to live. So I predict that endgame for Cersei Lannister, I put it like a 90% chance of her surviving. Now, I don't know if she's going to be the same position of power that she is in now. Like, she could honestly survive, but have no power left. Like, all of the gold is taken, everything is stripped from her. What I would ideally like to see is that, yes, she does survive, so you have that bittersweet ending, but also, you know, it's more sweet because she's being kept in a red cell underneath the Red Keep, being just basically kept in a cell at all times, not necessarily forced to die, but forced to live and in a cell. We do know that Cersei was at her most human when she was, you know, when she had her sort of walk of shame right before that, when she spent all of her time in the cell and she wasn't fed water, she wasn't really fed anything, and she just kind of was completely broken down. That was the most human I've ever seen Cersei. I felt so bad for her. It was insane. And honestly, you remember a few seasons before that, she's killing Starks left and right. She's torturing Sansa. She's doing all this crazy stuff to all the characters that we love. But in those moments when she's in those cells, just everything about her facial reactions, everything, it just makes me feel for her. So because of that, I honestly think that that would be the greatest punishment for Cersei, to 100% not necessarily sensitize, but the opposite of that. Put some sensitivity in her. Give her back her humanity. The best way to do this is by putting her in a cell underneath the Red Keep. Honestly, if Tyrion is the Warden of the South and he controls the South, I feel like Jaime would kill Cersei. And I'm getting sidetracked here, but Jaime's reasoning for killing Cersei in the novels is sort of like self-motivating. He doesn't hate her for all of the bad deeds she's done to the citizens of Westeros. He doesn't think that she's just a bad person and she's just pure evil. He hates her for personal reasons. She cheated on him, so he hates her for this. That hate just steadily grows over the story, and these are the reasons why he thinks that either Cersei should die or he should be the one to kill Cersei. It's all sort of like selfish, you know what I mean? Honestly, it is kind of a good deed because the world will be a better place if he did take out Cersei, but his motivation in wanting to kill Cersei is all selfish reasoning. It's because the main reason is because she cheated on him, and, you know, he had this ideal in her head that she's just this maiden and they're almost like sort of demigods. They're above everyone else. Everyone else is below them. When Cersei does this, it sort of defiles that way that Jaime thinks about her in his head. So those are the real reasons why Jaime wants to kill her. It's sort of like, you know, self-motivating. It's very selfish. But anyway, getting back on track here. If this is the case and Tyrion is left in charge of the fate of Cersei, like let's say Jaime dies on the battlefield, Tyrion would want to keep her alive just because he does feel guilty for sending Marcella off. That is his sister, and honestly, Tyrion's heart is probably the biggest of all the characters, and he's the shortest. Tyrion is, you know, in my opinion, not only in the novels, but also in the TV show, he has the most expanding room. He's the most progressive thinker. So when it comes to, like, someone having an insane amount of bad deeds that they were the root cause of, and it comes to them being able to redeem themselves, well, Tyrion is a big believer in that. So I honestly feel like if Tyrion is able to, you know, sit the Red Keep, Cersei's fate may be handed off to her. Honestly, the perfect ending for Cersei Lannister, and I'm going to be wrapping this video up with this, is if she sits the Iron Throne. I know that that sounds crazy, but that would be completely bitter if you think about it, but then not really, because if she sits the Iron Throne, that means that the Night King was defeated. A lot of our main heroes during that quest got killed, but somehow Cersei, you know, is still sitting the Iron Throne. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I feel like that would be one of the best endings for Cersei Lannister. No, she's not one of my necessarily favorite characters, but she is in the sense that I love to hate her. So you guys let me know what you think about that down below in the comment section. Well, alright, with that being said, I'm not going to take up too much more of you guys' time. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please slap a like on this video. The like goal will be 420. Also, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think about my thoughts on Cersei's endgame in particular. Also, let me know your thoughts on Tyrion and Jaime's endgame as well. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. Super special shout out to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. Ours is The Hunt. Super special shout out to Terry. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews. Not really a funny Easter egg here, but remember, my normally visual aid filled videos are going to be back sometime next week. I'm supposed to get that new processor by Tuesday.